So you're now looking at the MYOB Advanced. This is our demonstration system. We're live as such on air. I'm starting off with a dashboard, as David mentioned, for production manager. So a production manager would typically have this kind of dashboard in his coming in every day, showing exactly where he's at on the production floor. These dashboards can be, say, graphical, pie charts, piles, drill downs, various lists, etc., and all customized by role and by user as well. It's a very powerful feature inside MYOB Advanced. All right, so production. Normally we make things. So we have a stock item that we're going to make. So I'm just going to show you a typical basic production process to make a specific stock item. So I go to my stock system. I'm going to look for an item called a swing gate. There it is. It's a swing mesh gate. I'm going to open it up. So now I'm in my stock, my inventory side of things, and on got my description, my stock code SKU. It's a finished good. It could have been a component part or a sub-assembly as part of it. Valuation method, average, FIFO, LIFO, standard. Going into, we also got lot and serial number tracking as well. So we also have tracks by serial numbers or lot numbers, expiry dates, the warehousing, where we keep it all. These other tabs on a imagery item follows a whole bunch of information, which we looked at later on. All we're doing now is looking at mainly the manufacturing side. So this particular string gate manufacturing tab is linked to a bill of material, number 11. And at the same time, it's also marked here for default mark for production. In other words, I make it as opposed to buying it. So either I purchase or I produce it. It's a major order item. It's also an MRP item, therefore can be used in my forecasts as well. The source comes again from manufacturing, or again, could be a transfer from another warehouse, or could be a purchase order or a purchase, just leaving as manufacturing. We can define safety stocks, min-maxes, reorder sizes, and manufacturing lead time to all fall into the place of the MRP forecasting side of things. Let's go back to the bill of material. So this bill of material number 11 is going to drill down into it. Give an idea of, to make this swing gate requires basically, we have different operations. So I've got operation 10, 15, and 20. So 3 operations, and they go through various work centers. So I've got the fabrication work center, I've got an outside contractor doing some painting, and then I do inspection. Each of these work centers then can have specific times, so setup times, days, hours, minutes. So setup time, how many units is going to happen, how long it's going to take to run that particular operation, how many machine units it's going to produce, machine time, the queuing time, scrap, etc. Backflush, another powerful feature in the system. The moment I got backflush for labor. We'll come back to that later on, the meaning of that. Going down a bit further, I'm looking on my operation 10, which is work center 1. Within that operation, I have these materials. So I need to have the following items or componentry to go and fabricate this string gate. So I need 3 of those and 2 of those and 0.4 of those and 4 of those and so on and so forth. Each with its cost and the planned cost and where it comes from. Again, the backflush field is there, again, not yet ticked. Also have what they call steps. So to actually go and fabricate this, I need to go and maybe fabricate according to a drawing, or you can set up your own different steps, and these then print out on a work order on the production floor. I can assign specific tools, so I need a MIG welder and a seam tracker as well, and that needs 120 minutes of that at 85 cents a minute maybe, and the tracker 240 minutes, $2.15 a minute. I can assign an overhead to it as well, so I've got an admin overhead, I've got a production overhead recovery as well, and so on and so forth. So each of these different processes would have their own material, its own steps, its own overhead, etc. Going back to the work center, so this work center 1, just drill into it. More information. So this is more and more like a capacity planning. So work center 1, it costs me $1 each time a minute I use it. And the capacity there can either be based on the manning, the crew size, or machines. You know, how many machines there are, or machine throughput, or how many hours in a day for each person. Scrap, if I have scrap, does it get written off or quarantined? There. And again, I can set backflush materials or backflush labor or both. And within the work center, I can have shift information. So in other words, what the shifts people work, different calendars. For example, this calendar here is set for the Monday to Friday, 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So office hours, basically, as opposed to factory hours. I can have that shift there, or a night shift as well. You can have different shifts assigned then per work center and assign staff to different shifts. Again, overheads, machines, and so on and so forth. Going back to here again, so leave that alone. So that's the bill of materials to go and manufacture or produce a swing gate. Okay. This backflushing. So backflush means if it's being ticked, the system will actually go and use these times, the queue time, machine time, the run times. If it's not ticked, it means we've got to go and actually record timesheets or labor against this production order. The same with material. If it's been ticked as backflush, every time we go and move this production order between work centers, the system will go and allocate or issue these materials automatically at these levels. If it's not backflushed, we've actually got to go and issue the materials to the job each time. All right, so that's the bill of materials. Let's now go look at the actual production order. So I'm just going to close that down out of there, go into more items, so into production orders. Here's my production order system. I'm going to make a new production order. All right, so order type normal. The item I'm going to make is the string. Look up the string item again. And here it comes in. Got today's date, sitting as planned. It's coming from the main warehouse. I'm going to make one, I'm going to make more as such. The scheduling, I can either have start on or finish on or particular dates. So start on or finish on the 21st. Let's say I'm starting on today, 21st. I can say use lead times, MRP, etc. Determine the scrap warehouse and so on. Let's just save that one. Now we've got a production order number 81, sitting in system, still sitting at planned. Right. On the references side, it will show me where this production order came from. At the moment, I made this one off the cuff. It could have come from a sales order as well. If it came from a sales order, we link to the sales order number and the client. It's showing me the financial settings of work in progress. The source of this particular production order came from bill of materials. Again, it could have come from estimates configuration as well. There's a module called configuration module, an estimate module in the system. It can also generate bills of materials and production orders. So it's using again bill material number 11 to make production order number 81. It could also be linked to a project. At this stage, there's no project switched on. Another nice little tab is this event history. So every time something happens to the production order, the system will go and record the event against it, like an audit trail. So it's turning 11:40, it's created the regular order. It's coming out of being created. Okay. The totals tab, again, very powerful little tab on the system, show me the planned totals, i.e. the cost of labor, the cost of material, the cost of tooling. So to make this entire swing gate should cost me $9.94. The actual times and labor taken will appear in here. The variances will appear over here. So at the moment the variances are full variances because we've got no actuals. All right. So now we've got your production order. In there we can go and have a look at thing. Let's look at critical materials. So we go look at critical material. It's showing me that on this production order I need to have the following items. Remember those are the materials that came from that bill of material, the items there. They show me what's on hand. So I've got nothing on hand, therefore I'm short those items. So from there, I can actually go and either purchase or manufacture, depending on the replenishment source. It could either be purchased or could be manufactured as a component. Let's go and pick up, let's assume it's going to take them all, and we're going to raise a purchase order. So purchase order, I'm just going to take a default supplier. Normally you'd have different suppliers for different items, and just go and create it. Now it's basically a PO for me to go and buy the stock to bring it into the system. There we go. That's got 3 POs processed. So click on there, it shows me that they are coming in, busy doing it still. So purchase orders against aluminum steel, and there's all the items, what to order, etc. Right. I'm just going to go and receipt this order in, so take it off hold. I'm going to do the receipt to book the stock in so we can actually use it on production order. That's all coming in. There we go. So ordered, received, fine. I'm just going to, at the same time, make the bill. I'm just going to include Anthem steel production and October 21 the invoice number, and just let's release that. And so now I've got stock in the system. I can actually go and start doing my production side. That could be done on a mass basis as well, using the MRP system, which shows you the actual basic steps to do around it. All right, so now I'll go back to my production orders again, production order maintenance, and go and search for my production order. It's number 81, the last one on the list. It's all sitting as planned. I can go and release the order. Now been released. If I look at my event history, I've now got created, it's now been released. All right. If you go back again to production detail, so this is back to the bill of materials, showing us again on this bill, just to remind you that on these work centers, different work centers, right, labor's got backflushing. So that backflush is going to be done, that's automatic. Whereas the labor on these other work centers need to be entered manually. So if I look at the actual production order side, I can actually do a labor transaction. Let's put a labor. I'm going to say a new labor transaction, and that's going to go against direct labor, production order number. I know it's 81, or I could search for it either way. Operation, so which operation am I putting against? Number 30, inspection, and I can do a start time, an end time, or just type in how many hours I spent doing it. Again, these labor times can come from various sources. We've got shop floor data collection, so the guys can actually have it on a device on the shop floor, or could be through a timesheet entry through mobile application device. So there's various ways of capturing labor against the production orders. That's been released. So we go back to production order again, production order maintenance. All right, number 81. So now in my event history, we've now got labor transaction. All right, so I did a cost transaction based upon moving it, and a labor transaction. The batch is there. If I drill down to it now, you'll find there's been labor added to the system. Oh, half an hour. Again, look at my totals. I now have 2.5 hours labor, $100 worth of labor. So now my labor variance is now $90 all the way around. Right. The same with the materials. Well, again, materials, click on materials. 81. I can then do the summaries, all there, done. So all in stock. Next thing then is do a move transaction. So you're moving it between the different warehouses. So sorry, different cost work centers. So today's date plus their order type, again order number 81, but actually order number 81. Swing date. I can move from 10 to 20 and 20 to 30. If I assume the last move, i.e. number 30, the system will do all the in-between ones at the same time. So for the sake of speed, and this is a quick overview demo, I'm just going to assume the last work center, one of those, and say thank you very much, release that. That will now go and move the production order from 10 into 20 to 30 and add all the costs. So again, if I now go back to my production order details, and that the production order maintenance, call it up again, and now on my event history, and I got move transactions. There you go. And the totals now contain the tooling cost, the fixed overhead cost, and so on and so forth. At the same time, you can go through and look at all the transactions you've done on it. You can create purchase orders directly. At this stage, I'm going to go through and say, right, let's now go and done that, production orders, and look at the materials again, production order materials. So because the website is backflush, I'm now going to go and issue those materials basically manually, or I could use a wizard. Operation ID, so on the first operation, operation 10, and all the stock items go and choose them. If I was doing the manual issue using a wizard, I can say take production order, the last one in the line, pick it up to then go and issue material against the production order in bulk. And that's basically, in a nutshell, manufacturing using a basic from bill of materials to production orders. We have another module called MRP, or Materials Requirements Planning, which allows you to take production orders into a forecast situation, either based upon a master production schedule, where you actually go to define your own items to be made each and every time, so you add to the schedule on a manual basis. You also have the fact of doing MRP forecasts, and the forecasts can then work upon stuff like your min maxes, your sales order demand for the factory, determine what to be made when, based upon the dates and the lead times around your materials, your work centers, your capacities, all work around the MRP side of things. And on the MRP, then you can come into your requirements listing, MRP display, and so on. So with MYOB Advanced, you can basically have, starting off with a simplistic manufacturing process with bill of materials to production orders, and just adding your timesheets and labor and materials, and then move into the MRP side of planning, where you bring in the whole bring of machines and crew sizes and min maxes and sales orders, forecast and demand. The system itself can then actually go generate those forecasts for you based upon various things. But that's basically it for today, or simplistic looking at manufacturing.